Welcome to the Flymen Fishing Show, where we talk fly fishing, fly tying, and everything in between. I'm your host, Scotty Davis.
What's happening?
What's going on, buddy?
How are you?
I'm good, man. How about yourself?
I was like, who the hell is this? You cut all your hair off.
Yeah, it's gone, man. It's gone. And well, I started falling out's the problem. So,
Yeah, it happened.
I didn't want to have the good old afro going on with the bald spot in the middle. So I just shaved it all off,
Yeah, it looks a little Sammy Hagar when you start doing that,
Yeah, no doubt. I got called that time, so I got rid of it.
Nice. How's it been going?
Been going good, man. Been super busy. Backside of COVID last year was horrific. This year's been real busy, so it's good.
Yeah. Did COVID just shut you down completely? Did you have a couple? Okay.
God, luckily, I had local guys that kept me, fishing a little bit here and there and kept some business going. But for the most part, yeah, it was pretty bad. All my traveling customers couldn't make it. So
yeah. I talked to Henry Cowan. He's got that bigger Ranger, and he just put people at the front, put a piece of tape, and said, "Don't come past this line," and just took one at a time, and it seemed to work out for him. I guess
nice.
Making lemonade out of lemons. This is a horrible situation.
No doubt. Yeah, I mean, it was a mandatory mask thing down here. So, I mean, I'm always in a mask anyway, so it's no big deal for me. So,
yeah. With the buffs, you mean?
Yeah.
So, nice. So you're back full speed now? Everybody's back?
Yeah. Full speed. Everything's good, man. So you just plugging along. The fishing's been great. Water's staying pretty clean. So can't complain.
What areas are you fishing now?
I've been Merritt Island all the way down to South Sebastian, a little north into Titusville, a lot in Merritt Island lately, and I'll start fishing down in Melbourne here in the next couple of weeks for some migratory tarpon coming in. So,
yeah, how'd you do the other night when we were talking? You said you're trying to get that guy on a big one. Did y'all ever hook up?
No, it was the fish were swimming so close, tight to the shore at the tide. I mean, we were in the ocean, and there's some, they weren't big waves, but there were some breakers coming in, and he was a little uncomfortable. I had to keep the bow pointed into the waves, so he had to cast off the back of the boat, and they were in there tight. They were eating glass minnows. It's fun to watch 80-pound tarpon come 4 feet out of the air eating food. So,
dude, oh my God,
we just never connected. It was kind of tough. They were just swimming so tight, it was really hard. If they would have slid out 50 yards, it would have been game on. But they had the bait fish schools penned up right on the bank. So,
and you just had your flats boat right behind the breakers.
Yep. We took one over it, and I said, "Okay, we're done here." We had one crash at the bow and put me in the air about 4 feet as I came back down. I'm like, "All right, we're good."
I'd have jumped out and be like, "Leave me."
Right?
Yeah.
So.
I'll get an Uber from the beach home at that point.
No doubt. So.
That's crazy. So they're chasing glass minnows up the beach. Is it the snook with them, or is it all tarpon?
We did see a couple snook, but no, mostly tarpon. We're out there targeting, those bigger tarpon. So.
And the river fishing on the inside's been good too, equally as good.
Real solid. It's been a really good year. We haven't had an algae bloom in quite some time, so the water's really clean. We got a little one kind of brewing in the Indian right now, but it's holding off, and it's been real good. The redfishing's been great. The county is holding some water back, so we don't have all the stormwater runoff, so all the culverts are shut, so we're not getting the stormwater runoff from the rain we've been getting. So the water's pretty low, so there's a lot of schooling fish. They're a little shy, but if you do it right and you have a good presentation, definitely. We had a great day today. You can definitely feed some really nice fish. So.
Yeah, when I fish down there, those fish are smart, man. You've got PhDs in fly design themselves. So what kind of stuff are y'all throwing at them?
Right now, we've been throwing a lot of, I've been throwing a lot of just little black weighted worm flies, rabbit tail streamers, things like that. Or I'll tie some stuff, some Flymen eyes on it. Those living eyes, which I love, on just some patterns, man, with some craft fur, things like that. Real basic, small stuff. Just trying to fool them, and it's been pretty good. We've been managed to fool some fish every time we go out, which has been good. So,
are you using that same fly kind of as a general pattern for the snook, the tarpon, and reds, everything?
I do. I try to use the same fly. When we get out there, you never know what you're going to run into. Video for targeting tarpon, I try to use a fly that, depending on how you strip it, we can feed everything. Right. And I have a patterns that work pretty well depending on how the fly is retrieved. So that's kind of what we've been doing. I like little black streamers. They seem to always get the job done. Redfish, trout, tarpon, snook, they all seem to like it. So I just tie smaller stuff because the water's so shallow right now, and the fish are swimming real skinny. Nice. So,
man, that's awesome.
Easy. Yeah, it's been fun. We got lots of tailing fish this morning. So,
and the snook fishing too. It's been real good. Been good.
Yeah. Every morning before we were in the beach, we went out in the port, and there's a couple spots I have in there that are lighted up, and we got one real nice one out from under the dock lights before we ran the beach, before the boat traffic started buzzing the port, and it got rough. Yeah. And you got to come back and do this for a good full incoming tide one night. It was solid. We saw lots of fish floating.
So I love that shit.
Me too, man. It is so much fun. And you know,
Yeah.
the big that is I don't have to push pole all day. I can just operate a trolling motor for a little while, which
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
and it's not
The first time I ever snook fished was with you when we did that Sculp article to help Steve.
yeah.
Chokoloski. That shit was wild, man. You know, I'm used to redfish, and tarpon moving around, with those snook, when they pack themselves into those mangroves and their tails are basically out of the water, you know, when the tide's coming out. So I guess so they could judge, you know, where they're coming out, man. That was, I think that's my new drug of choice, are those snook.
I'll tell you what, I don't ever forget that one when you were in the front of the boat with me and we had that one, you threw it way up under the little cove and then you turned around and ate it so hard. I still think about that, man.
Oh, I do too. I'm the one that lost him. You don't think I think about it?
I don't know if God himself could have got him out of that place where you fed that fish.
God, I was asking for his help too.
Yeah.
God help me. Oh man.
That
So,
fish deep stuff.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah, we got to get back down there.
Yeah, man, for sure.
Shit was fun.
Yeah.
Are you from that area, Merritt Island? And
That's where I live now. I've been here since 94, man. So
nice. Where were you before that?
Ocean City, Maryland.
Nice.
Yep.
Not many snook up there.
No, a lot of striper fishing though. That's kind of what I'm doing. So and then I visited down here when I was 16. I said, I'm going to move down there and do that for a living. My parents said, you're crazy. Well, here I am.
Yeah, they knew you were crazy.
They knew I was crazy. If you meet me, you know I'm crazy.
Yeah. You doing? I saw on your Instagram post you had some bass fishing. You've been doing any of that recently?
Yeah, a little bit for fun. Yeah, man. They opened up this new place down in South Brevard, or actually North Indian River County. They created this new trophy bass lake, and it is pretty fun.
Nice.
I have a buddy that fishes a local bass chapter tournament. So if I have a day off and he's pre-fishing, I'll go with him. So help him out on the boat, which is kind of fun. It's nice to have two rods in the water when you're trying to figure some stuff out for a tournament.
Yeah. Who opened that? Was Florida Wildlife built it?
Yeah, well, FWC had some part to do it. I don't know exactly who engineered the whole thing, but they definitely engineered it to be some flooded ag land that they engineered to hold trophy bass. And I think they filled it, they stocked it, they let it sit idle for so long, and it is unbelievable fishery.
Yeah,
it is incredible.
Is that mainly to help with the flood or any of the algae problems on the lagoon? Or
no, I think they had the area there. They got a hold of it. I think I'm not exactly sure the exact details, but I think they just opened it. It's down there close to the stick marsh. They had the property and they took the time and engineered it to have another trophy bass lake in that area, and they did a heck of a job because it is phenomenal.
I mean, remember how big like Okeechobee was in the 80s with all that bass stuff? I mean, you got to think that brought in millions of dollars of tax revenue every year with permits and hotels and all that crap.
Yeah. Headwaters just brings some money, and every time you go down there, there's a line of 20 boats at 5 o'clock in the morning to get on that lake. There's pros down there filming shows every week. Last time I was down there, I think Roland Martin was down there filming a show. It's pretty incredible. They did a really good job engineering it. The hydrilla is really thick. There's like every time I'm down there, I hear of a 10, 11, 12 pound bass being pulled out.
Damn right. It just opened.
It's they opened it to boats about a little over a year ago. Yeah. And then before it was, you could only access it for a little while by a canoe or a paddleboard. And then they just opened up the boat ramp to boats. So
is it residentials or houses on it and stuff?
No, there's nothing on it. There's nothing there. It is just out in the sticks in the middle of nowhere, really.
It's one of those rare parts of Florida that hadn't been overdeveloped.
It is. And there's not that anymore.
Merritt Island, where you are, is like that. I mean, you're not going to see the high rises and all that, northern money coming to Florida, I guess. I don't know how to put it, really.
I don't know. Growing a lot in the last 2 years with the space program. I will say that it's getting there with SpaceX and some of the other subcontractors being out there. It's definitely our area is growing quickly. So
the NASA just completely shut down Canaveral, right?
What's that?
Is NASA still there at all, or are they just completely pulled out?
They're still there, and they have the SpaceX is out there working with them as well. And I know they have a couple other private space companies out there working with them as well. So I'm not sure all the details, but they're still full operational. Rockets are going up on, there's one the other day.
Nice. That's something I always regretted, is never going and getting like one of those setup pictures, fishing with the space shuttle launching behind you, shit.
Yeah. I've never done it either. I don't have one myself, and I've been down here for a long time, and you always forget, or you're busy looking at fish when the rocket goes up to turn around and take a picture. So you're like, oh man, I should do that one day, but we'll see what happens.
You got to read the newspaper and the news and stuff to know what's going on.
Yeah.
So how about
So
this?
thank you up there, man.
It's been good, man. Fishing's been it's been good. We had really good tides the last couple of days, close to 7-foot flood. So I took the kid out, and he's turning 8 this weekend. He wanted to go walk in the grass. I'm like looking at him. I'm like, well, hell, I guess you're tall enough now. Before I'm like, I'm gonna drown. You can't follow me out there, you weirdo. You're like 3 feet tall. It's 2.5 feet deep. But he's grown so fast. Yeah, he's tagging on my shirt tails out there. We saw, I think, 5 the other night. I had one cast and I was so excited. I just balked him right on the head. And he was like, there he goes, Dad. I'm like, you're a smart ass already,
Yeah, right. That's awesome. You got him throwing some loops yet?
Yeah, he's getting there. We
Nice.
generally every Sunday I'll take him brim fishing at some of these little local neighborhood ponds and
Right.
get him hooked. I mean, if they won't hit like a normal brim popper or something, we'll drop a little trout net behind it. He'll catch all these little teeny little trout or little brim and bluegill. He doesn't care how big they are,
Ah,
If he catches 20 of them, he's super excited. So yeah, we're
that's
just
awesome.
harassing these pet fish basically. Yeah. How old
That's
you
great.
You got kids too, right?
I do. 17 and 15.
Damn.
I know. Tell me about it.
Damn.
Like just yesterday, they were under 10, and now they're 17 and 15, which tells you why there's no hair and the beard is now gray.
That's what's happening to me. It's totally the kids.
Yeah. And that's what I'm going to put on. It's probably not, but it's a scapegoat. I'm going to use it.
Yeah, you did this.
Yeah, you did this to me. Look where'd all my hair go.
I had these beautiful locks.
Yep.
Yeah, teenagers. Do they fish with you?
Yeah, my son loves to fly fish. He does with me. He wants to guide down the road. So
Cool.
my daughter, she used to fish me a little more. We still get to go once in a while, not as much as I would like, but we get to go from time to time. So
Nice. He wants to guide what you're doing, the saltwater inshore.
yeah, he wants to become a fly guide locally here. So I said, you're gonna have to prepare yourself with an education because the way anywhere in the world is, none of the bodies of water are getting any better. They're all getting tougher and tougher. So just make sure you have a backup plan because
Right. We were talking about that the other day, and I would think the best, like if my kid came to me and said, I want to be a guide, and I would still want him to go to college, and you either study marketing or advertising because you have to market yourself and you have to advertise. And if you're good at that, you're going to have all the business you want. Those are the guys that are super busy. But yeah, that's cool, man. Is he there with you in Florida?
Oh yeah, he's here, man. Yep.
Nice.
See him every day. We have a good time together. We fish as much as we possibly can. It's kind of my busy season right now, so we try to sneak out there at least once a week if we can. If they're after a trip or something. So
yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, I'm not going to divulge the location, but you got those little pet fish right down the street too that I haunted a few times.
Yeah, that's a fun place to go, man. But yeah, they can be.
I love it.
Yeah, one of my favorite frustrations is fishing that area.
Yeah, it is frustrating. So you're pretty familiar being in the lagoon and where you are with the red tides and all that shit that's going on in Tampa right now.
I am. I've been watching it. It's heartbreaking to watch and see what happens there. It's unbelievable the devastation that's going on over there right now. I feel for all those guys and that whole community over there, and anything I can do to help, I will. It's just we got to get some education out there and some outreach and get our state and elected officials to start doing the right thing with our bodies of water because it's truly sad.
Yeah, it's horrible, man. I'll play ignorant here, but what's basically causing that? And it's the same issue you all had in the past too, right?
Yeah, we still have, we're still fighting algae blooms here. It's not red tide. They call it brown tide, but it's a brown or a green type of algae that blooms out in our lagoon system here. And we're struggling with that. And it's just nutrient overload. All urban development, everything is running into the bodies of water, and you have all these nutrients from fertilizers, wastewater, stormwater, agriculture runoff. It's all these issues combined together that are causing the problems. And I think a lot over there, what happened in Tampa Bay has a lot to do with that Piney Point leak a few months back. I mean, that was a ton of nutrient loaded water that dumped out in the Tampa Bay. And now here's their worst red tide to date, at least the worst one that I can remember. So,
yeah, I mean, it's like acres and acres of floating dead fish that you could almost walk across. I mean,
it is. It's really hard for me to watch because I've watched my body of water here. I love so much that I moved down here to work on struggle over the years with urbanization and population growth in the county and not having proper infrastructure in place to protect the body of water. And I'm sure, Tampa Bay, they had that issues in the 80s and they fixed it. They got their seagrass back. They did a lot to rejuvenate over there. And now you have this red tide issue, which is truly sad because they have a lot of seagrass. That is a beautiful fishery over there that they have. I love going over there and getting to fish it. So
yeah. What's the difference between the red tide and the brown tide? Is it just a different type of algae?
It is a different type of algae, and I believe it starts in a different way, but I believe it is all nutrient based. I'm not a scientist, so I do the best that I can to understand it. Our algae bloom here, because we don't have any tides, there's no natural flushing up where we are in this section of the lagoon, that when it's kind of sits in, and we got to wait for either, I guess, the nutrient load to go away. It could have something to do with salinity levels, and for it to slowly fade away. Whereas the red tide, it definitely has something to do with Lake O runoff. I'm sure all those discharges from all that agriculture land coming out and then rolling up the Gulf, and that has something to do with it. I don't know the exact science, but it's definitely a problem. The Lake Okeechobee discharges have been a huge problem over the years.
Yeah.
For that whole area, South Florida up in the Tampa Bay, they just discharge a ton of polluted agriculture, whatever, that are just loaded with nutrients. So,
and that's basically the same issue that killed most of the Everglades, right?
I believe so.
The runoff from up.
A lot of that freshwater flow off that used to just trickle down to the center of the state and flow down through there and through Florida Bay and stuff like that. And they're trying to open that back up. And Captains for Clean Water's doing huge accomplishments for getting some notoriety to what's going on down there and getting some help from elected officials down there and getting that worked on with our governor right now. So it's great to see some progress with that. And hopefully we'll start seeing some progress in all the local fisheries throughout the state, and we can make them all great again.
Yeah. Florida. I mean, y'all are like number one in non-resident fishing license sales. You got to think that brings in loads more money to the government or to the state than what the factories or whoever is producing this stuff. But we kind of had that similar problem here. We had these on a much smaller scale. Obviously, we don't have those tide blooms. But what you said about fertilizer, my buddy's a redfish biologist. I was like, man, last 2 years there was hundreds of redfish in here. Now everything's kind of dead. I don't see anything. He's like, well, there's a brand new neighborhood and everybody wants green grass, and it just all that fertilizer and nutrient stuff, rich stuff flows into the grass, and basically they go in there. It's like you walk into a smoke-filled room. You're like, yeah, I'm not staying in here. I'm gonna go in that other room. So you just kind of fade off and go into a different flat. But I guess it happens on a mass scale. That's when everything can't escape and it starts to die off, like what's happening in Tampa and stuff. So
yeah, absolutely. And that's so heartbreaking watching that. You can only look at it for so long. And try to do as much as you can on a local level here. I do as much with conservation as I can, and educating people as to what the problem is here locally and getting them cared and involved. So the way things are going to change is to get the community behind it. I mean, years ago, we passed a 0.5-cent sales tax locally in our county, which speaks volumes of how much our community wants our lagoon to be healthy again.
Yeah.
Sales taxes are not an easy thing to pass on a level, let alone at a 70% clip. So, which is, I believe we're somewhere around 72 or 73% or something in that ballpark when we passed that. And so we get a 0.5-cent sales tax for everything locally sold in our county that goes to the preservation and conservation of our lagoon system. Nice. So we have some money coming in to help fix it. Now we just got to make sure it's the money spent and then the best ways for the lagoon to be fixed and bring it back to where it needs to be. And first and foremost, we got to stop the algae blooms before we can see seagrass regrowth.
Yeah.
So
well, that's the way to do it. Start on the local level too.
Yeah.
Lots of people, on Instagram and Facebook and whatnot, calling out the governor, trying to get his attention on it. Have you heard him make any statements or anything on it?
Not here, but I know he's done some stuff with Captains for Clean Water. He's big into bringing our waters back to the way they should be. It's you're reversing 40 or 45 or 50 years of a mismanagement. It's not going to happen overnight. It's going to be a process.
Absolutely.
For sure. But it's just starting that process and then continuing with it until the end, so we get back to where we need to be. But yeah, I really like our governor right now, Governor DeSantis. I do. I'm a big fan of how he handled the COVID situation. I'm a big fan of how he's handling our water quality issues. And he's working, I know he works with Captains for Clean Water quite a bit. They're having meetings. I've watched some of them. I'm really happy with where we are right now with some of our elected officials on a local and on a state level. So
that's awesome to hear.
Yeah. And that hasn't been the case for a long time. So it's really nice to see elected officials getting out there and trying to get the problem resolved. And like I said, it's not going to be an overnight fix. It's going to be some time, but you got to put the work in to get where you want to be.
Yeah. I remember a few years ago, everybody was blaming the big sugar companies. That's only really just part of the problem, right?
Yeah, that's part of the South Florida problem, I believe, is, all that ag runoff coming into Lake O and them holding all that back and then dumping it out to the Caloosahatchee. And the other one, I can't remember the name of it. I don't know why, but a little brain fart there. It's not coming to me. But yeah, all that Lake O discharge and them cutting off the natural flow that would flow down to the center of the state and feed, the headwaters of the Florida Everglades. a lot of that was big sugar, and it still is a big part of the problem. So, but they're starting to combat that now. They're breaking ground and trying to restore the flow, which is great to see.
Nice.
So,
man, that's depressing. Let's talk about something happy.
I'm down, man. I'm down. It's day in and day out down here, and it is what it is, and it's on a global scale. I mean, it truly is. It's everywhere in the world that, you know, as the population grows, we got to figure out how to handle our pollution and how not to pollute our bodies of water. So
yeah, totally. Like in United States, I mean, even our biggest problem is some of the smallest problems on a global scale. Like, yeah, I've seen some bad rivers.
Yep. And you know, I mean, we've been doing it now for quite some time. You know, I remember, to me, it's just yesterday I started getting into fishing. It's like I was a young kid, and still seems like yesterday, but you look back over the years and you realize how much of a decline that you've seen in just my small lifetime. So you imagine, you know, on a larger scale, what that decline really and truly is on a fisheries level.
Yeah, that's nuts, man.
But yeah, let's talk about some happy stuff, man. When are you going to come down and get on the bow of the boat and go chase some fish with me?
God, I need to soon.
You need to tell Martin. You and Martin need to make a trip down here. We'll make some videos and do some double barrel popper action and get into something. That'd be a lot of fun.
Hell yeah, he still talks about that big snook you call it, or you put him on.
Yeah, that was one of, I think about. There's not a whole lot of fish I think about a lot. I think about that one all the time with Mike and Martin. That was such a fun day.
Mike Smith was there too.
Yeah, Mike was there. Martin did an amazing job, because that fish wanted to kick Martin's ass.
Yeah.
I haven't seen a snook run that far, that long to get back to the bush. And Martin put the brakes on about 2 feet away from the mangroves and got him turned. And I was like, wow, that's impressive, buddy, because that was a really good one.
Yeah,
that was
lose it.
Yeah.
Nice.
So
you got lots of baby tarpon around. I guess that's kind of a resident thing where you are.
Yeah, there are tons, man. That's the one thing. We have a wonderful juvenile tarpon population, that 1 to 25 pound. We have a lot over, 25 to 60 pounds. Yeah. We do get some migratory fish that come through here, a lot off the beach. We have some that have been coming to the lagoon system for a long time. It's nothing like the Keys or anything like that, but we do get some big fish in the 100-pound range come swim through here. And you get the right conditions and the right weather, you can get shots at them on fly, swimming shallow, get the sight fish them. But the juvenile fishing here for the juvies is tremendous. Yeah. You go out and you 150 shots in the morning a day sight fishing them. That's pretty good.
Yeah. And I love a big tarpon as much as the next guy, but man, something that 15 to 20 pound range, where you're not going to have a heart attack, you can miss a few and not kill yourself, but I think that's my favorite.
That's my favorite size. 20-pound fish is my favorite size tarpon. You fish them on an 8-weight all day long. The fight's pretty short. You get them the boat pretty quick. Everything's shallow, so they jump a ton around here. The fight's over in 5 minutes. You can catch 5 or 6 in the morning and not kill yourself. One 80-pounder, and you might be done for the day in this August heat down here. So
for sure. Are you throwing little topwater gurglers and stuff at them?
Yeah, gurglers. I throw the little double barrels, surface seducers. I'll add them a lot, man, and just kind of pop them real slow through there. That's one of my favorite flies of all time, the fish farm. Yeah. The topwater bite's been really good as well, so it's been fun.
Killing
me. Yeah. Well, I got a spare room, man. You always got a place. Come on down. Steve's down here as well. You got a place to stay. You got plenty of boats to hop on. Get on down here and bring Martin along.
You hear that, honey? I got a free place to stay. You just heard him. Yeah, that's sweet, man. When does you guide obviously year round? When do you start to slow down a little bit?
I'll slow down. Back to school, you see a little slowdown in it when school start back up. Then you see a little slowdown for a little while between September and I'd say whenever the first real cold front is up north before the snowbirds come down. Yeah. All the snowbirds are still up north. I have a lot of snowbird business as well. So, I still stay relatively busy, but September, October, November can slow down quite a bit. And then through the winter, it's not slow. It's really weather dependent. I can stay pretty busy as long as we have the weather. Right. If the weather's fishing, you get those 20-hour north wind days. Nobody wants to go sling loops and that stuff, man. It's tough. So
yeah, maybe we'll try to squeeze down there sometime in there before everybody invades Florida.
Yeah, no doubt. That'd be great, man. The fall fishing down here is my favorite. I love August, September, October, November. Yeah. When it starts to cool off and those fish feel that cool, and those first couple, they're not cold fronts here, so you don't see a weather change, but you get that little north wind start and just a hint of coolness in the air at night. Just the water temperature drops just a little bit and the fish just start to fire up. Plus it coincides with the mullet run. So we have an infiltration of bait and everything just gets really good. And that's when I love throwing double barrel poppers all day. into the bait pods and having, everything from redfish, trout, snook, tarpon blowing up on it. I've even had a black drum get up and nose my popper one year. And I'm like, oh God, if he eats that, that's gonna be the sickest photo ever. Come on, eat it. And he missed it. Like, no way.
You can't see it.
Yeah, I know, right?
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I've been throwing that big 5-aught. We got lots of big jacks here right now, and they're giving me fits, man. Just fits. They're 20 feet of water, and they'll daisy chain. You get there, they're gone.
Oh, they're so much fun though. One or two fish though, and I'm done. A 20-pound jack, and I'm over it. It's fun up, and then 20 minutes into the fight, you're like, oh, why'd they do that?
Right. Yeah. Last year, I caught one with I put an 80-pound leader on, and I was like, he's not going to get me in the backing. So I had lost one the day before because I didn't have my drag tight. So when he ran, it just backlashed and went to hell really quick. So I went out there with the wrong attitude and was like, I'm just going to muscle this. I'm not going to let him, I'm just going to fight his ass in here. And man, I cannot believe I didn't break a rod. I pulled a muscle, like hyperextended the inside of my elbow, like that, to the point where I almost had to go to the doctor. And I've never seen a fly line that destroyed. Like, just stretched so thin, like just bad shape, man. Those things it's like getting in a bad bar fight. You go in there with a good intention of winning, you throw a couple of tabs, and then you realize that you're going to get drug around by your hair for 30 minutes.
Absolutely.
That guy.
Those things are mean and nasty. I do love them, but they are mean and nasty.
Yeah.
Guys come by, everybody out on the beach. Guys, here they come. Then you want to catch? Yeah, I want to catch one. They lay into one. 30 minutes later, get in the boat, let them go. Hour later, we're looking for tarpon. Here come the jacks. You want one? No, I don't want to do it again.
No. It's like an amberjack. I did that one time, and I was like, yeah, I don't think I ever really want to do that anymore. That wasn't as much fun as it seems.
Right.
Oh, bad. So
some of the most aggressive eats on the planet. I've seen them track the fly in the air. They're following it. The fly's flying. They're just running. It lands. Boom, he eats it. Yep, you're tight. You broke him right away. Go it again. Hurry up. Get another rod. Throw it. Get the fly. Boom, and then you're out there in 30 feet of water, and it's just a dog straight up and down dog fight for 30 minutes as he swims, going around and around and around the boat. You're like, okay, we're not doing this again.
Yeah, I'm just gonna sit here on the platform and eat a sandwich for a minute while you fight this thing.
That's it. I get a little break. The angler's like, pour water on my head.
I like to used to take friends out, and when they're daisy chaining like that, and give them a popper and say, if you can get 3 pops out of it, I'll give you $20. And after the first pop, it's just they can't even get another pop out of it if they're on it so quick.
Oh, I love that. That's awesome. 3 pops, $20. That's killer.
Yeah. You gotta make the cast though. You can't throw it off shit to the side for the screw me out for $20. Nice. You had a charter this morning too?
I did.
How'd y'all do?
We did good. We got hooked 5 big bull reds, landed 3. So it was a conventional trip. We were just throwing some artificials.
Yeah.
New customers ever had them. But it was a lot of fun. We saw a lot of tailing fish today. So we're seeing a lot of respawn fish starting to school up for spawn. The big redfish. So it was good to see some bigger groups of fish come through and get real happy. And 30, 40 tails in the air at one time is not something you see like you used to down here. So when you get to see it, it's now special to me, where it used to be a daily occurrence. It is a special thing to see that anymore. And I really revel in seeing it. And I hope we get back to where we can see it on a daily basis again. Yeah.
Were they all in one little group, like a big group of tails?
There's different groups of them. And typically what I call pre-spawn redfish, because their spawn is, late August, early September, depending on the weather. When they spawn, and all our fish spawn inside down here. They don't move offshore to spawn, so they spawn in the lagoon. Pre-spawn fish, they're just starting to stage up for spawn, get in schools again, get ready for the spawn, and feed really hard, kind of fatten up, and because they're going to go a week or two pretty malnourished. They're going to spawn for a solid week, maybe 2 even, and they typically eat really, really well the first few weeks before that. If you can find them, they're normally pretty happy fish.
I can't think of anywhere else that redfish do that, where they don't go offshore to spawn. Is the Mosquito Lagoon the only place?
I have, and the scientists that I talk to, and some of my friends that are biologists, that this is one of the only places on the planet that it happens, or maybe the only place. And so the Banana River redfish is a subspecies of redfish, from my understanding, all its own. So those fish don't really move much more than 4 or 5 miles in their entire life.
Huh. Well, I guess if you want to make babies and you can't find a hotel room, you're going to find whatever you can find. So.
It's pretty cool to see the spawning aggregations. Back when we had a lot of seagrass, sometimes it could be a football field wide of just spawning redfish. It was amazing to see.
Wow. So. Is it kind of like other fish do? Do they lay their eggs on the surface and the males come and fertilize them, or they put them in the grass?
mingle together into each other, and you kind of watch them, drop their load, whether it be a male or female, and it's pretty neat to see. A lot of the bigger fish are females, and a lot of the smaller fish are the males. So I know everybody calls the bull, they call the big females bulls, but I think they're starting to believe now that, redfish like snook change sex a few times in their life. So I think they're trying to figure that out as well. But yeah, it's neat to see it. They get all up, and typically the morning before they spawn, and they normally spawn when the sun gets up a little bit and slide out to about 3 to 5 feet of waters. They feed real hard in the morning, and then they'll slide out to spawn. And I won't fish them when they're spawning, just kind of watch. But we'll fish them in the morning a little bit if they decide to slide in and start tailing up, try to pick 1 or 2 up before they spawn and slide out of there.
Yeah. Are there other predatory fish like those big sea trout in the lagoon? Are they kind of keying on that too as a free food?
I've only ever seen the redfish spawn, and typically just the redfish in big mass groups like that. And I don't really see a whole lot around them. So I've never seen sharks or dolphins or anything really come by and harass them too bad. So
yeah. The trout fishing been good for you there?
Not as good as it used to be. It's, I've had some days. The spring was decent. Without the seagrass, I think that is a population that's hurting really bad. They definitely had to change up their habits without all the seagrass we normally have. So you don't find them as much shallow as you used to. We still get them. It's really good in the spring and really good in the fall, tough in the summer. I don't think they like the heat as much, and there's no seagrass for them. And in the winter, you see a lot of really big ones. So I really did. I had probably the biggest one with a friend of mine. She's an artist. I had her out there and saw this huge trout in a pothole, and she fed it and fought it and got it next to the boat, and I freaking blew it and lost it next to the boat. So, but that was probably the first double-digit fish I've had in my hands in 5 years. It was a solid 10-pound fish. I got to feel the weight of it, and then I blotched the whole thing and chased it down the flat for 100 yards because I was tired. I thought I could grab it, and I fell on my face a few times and said, "Okay, I'm done."
Yeah, that's great.
Get that fish.
You didn't have a net? You were trying to hand grab it?
I did. I had a net. I got it in the net, and I literally lifted it up out of the water. Fish launches itself out of the net over my head, shakes its head, throws the fly, lands in the water, and swims off. And I'm like, what just happened? What just happened? Yeah. So yeah, I felt really, really bad because that was a really, really nice fish. That would have been cool to get a cool, quick pick and a release with it.
It was a caught fish, though.
It was a caught fish. Nobody will believe us, but it was a caught fish.
It's still impressive, man. Those trout are down there freaking hard to catch.
They are.
I've never had great luck with them. Like I've caught a few, but never one at near 10 pounds. Like,
right.
I've seen some.
I've changed my tactics. I don't throw it towards their face anymore now. If we get laid up trout, I'll fish their lateral line 4 or 5 times before we'll try to put it in front of them. That's the hardest thing. If you can get the fly to them without spooking them, they're pretty good about eating it. It's just getting that fly to that fish without spooking them is a nightmare. Yeah. If you're trying a moving fish, you obviously got to get it out in front of and try to get them to see it. But we get a lot of fish that'll just lay up there. So we'll throw to the middle of their body at their lateral line to angle or let the fly hit the bottom. He'll either spook when it lands or it'll hit the bottom. He'll turn to see what it was, and then you strip it away. And a lot of times, we're going to try to get by me without me seeing you. Nope, not going to happen. And they'll eat it. And I've been real successful the last 3 or 4 years doing that. Yeah. That's kind of been my trout secret.
Nice. The couple good shots I've had at big ones, they've been like in the grassy areas with a little sandy hole.
Right.
I'm a redfish guy from murky water, so I throw 5 feet to the right. And no, dude, you got to throw on the other side of that pothole. He can see the fly completely fine. And we realized that they'll run as fast as they can over there and grab it. Then we started doing a little bit better. Bruner actually figured that out more than, hey, kitty.
Yeah, he wants to be on the call, bud.
Yeah. But yeah, I love that shit, man. I mean,
oh yeah, I love trout fishing. It is super fun, and it's very technical. If you can catch big sea trout down here and be relatively successful at it, you can go anywhere in the world, I think, and sight fish and catch fish because they are as hard as any other fish I've seen. And a fish that's harder around that I've ever fished for is sight fish and sheepshead around here.
Yeah, we call those low country permit. Yeah,
no doubt. That's a good one.
They'll tail up here in the grass too, but a redfish tail is kind of slow and just kind of flaps. But those sheepshead, they'll flick real fast and antsy. And I've stopped chasing them. People are like, oh, there's a tail. I'm like, no, that's a tail, but we're not going over there. I'm like, why? Because you're not going to catch it. We're going to get mad. I'm going to get mad. We're going to have a horrible day. So no, I'm not going over there. Yeah, but
you got one sheepshead on fly down here. I've hooked a couple. I've tried a bunch. I had one angler one day as a sheepshead and 2 redfish, and the sheepshead leading the way. He's throwing at the redfish. sheepshead runs over there, murders it, and I'm screaming, yes, on the platform. He's like, what? I got the wrong fish. I'm like, no, you didn't, buddy. That is way better than any redfish you're gonna catch down here, man. We're taking pictures of that thing. We're gonna get a release video. We're doing the whole nine. That is awesome. And I don't think he quite knew what he did, but it was pretty special day for me to see one of those fish actually eat a fly and stay buttoned.
Yeah, I had a guy tell me one time that he catches a lot. He showed me lots of pictures, but he's fishing basically looks like a little zebra mussel. It's black and white barred. He said,
oh, yeah?
it doesn't have to be anything. You can do deer hair or anything as long as it's black and white barred and small. And you just throw it and let it sit there like a crab pot. And he's like, I catch, more than half of them that see it. And I've thrown crab, shrimp, about any little thing you can think of, and they'll barely even look at it, but. Yeah. So I need to get on the vise and try some of those things, because we do have a tailing here. I hate those things too. Frustrating.
They are, man. I don't even look at them anymore. What are like other sheepshead? We can't catch them. We're good.
They are delicious to eat. I don't eat many fish, but those are damn delicious.
They are. That is about the one time I will put on bait and go out there and catch some fish for food, because they are delicious. You're right.
Yeah.
Super sweet white meat. Love them.
Do y'all use fiddler crabs to fish for them?
Yeah, fiddler crabs, mole crabs, sand fleas, little black mangrove crabs. You want to go catch them on your own, so you can't buy them anywhere at bait store. But you get those little black mangrove crabs. That's like sheepshead candy, man.
Nice.
So out there, if we want to go get some food for the fridge, grab a couple of those and head out to the port, and it doesn't take very long. But it's fun. It's not the same as sight fishing on fly, of course, but it's still, you got to put some meat in the freezer once in a while.
Yeah.
So
I'm kind of weird about, especially redfish on the flats. People are like, can we keep some? I'm like, no, not these. Let's go catch a dumb one under a dock. Not that they're any different. I just feel like they're going to be back there. Which is just my stupid thinking, but
Yeah, I've gone for the last, I'd say 5 or 6 years, just strictly catch and release only in the lagoon at all. I don't really do any meat fishing really, except for fun for my family. But yeah, anything in the lagoon has been catch and release totally. So
it's pretty strict limits in there anyway, right?
It is. And, I would love to see them, especially over in Tampa, especially after what's going on here. I'd love to see them just close redfish for a few more years and sea trout, and let them come back. I would think that would be great. The lack of seagrass locally here for us is hurting fish populations. But I think that red tide over there is really going to hurt. I mean, it's obviously going to hurt fish populations, and it'd be great to see a closure over there again, help those populations back. Because, they had a great, healthy red fishery over there and trout fishery. Tampa Bay is a beautiful place.
Yeah, totally. And some of those tarpon that were washing up were big girls too.
Yeah.
What was I going to ask? You had said something earlier about the lack of grass in the lagoon. Did y'all lose a lot of grass recently?
It's been since the algae blooms. We had a freeze in 2010 where we lost quite a bit of it. We had a really bad freeze, and then it grew back freeze. And then I had an algae bloom of 2012 that was relatively bad. That kind of killed it. And we just been having algae blooms every year, and it's not allowing the seagrass to grow back. They can't get the light. They can't photosynthesize or do whatever it is that they do to grow. And it tries to grow back. We see spring as we get some patches here and there, but it just hasn't come back. So it seems like every time we seem to go a year of clean water, then boom, we'll get an algae bloom, or get a heavy rain, or get some tropical moisture, or a hurricane come through and dump a bunch of water and have a ton of runoff. And our problem locally here in this county is a lot of our municipalities have permits that if we have high water events, they call them, the local sewage treatment plants are allowed to dump partially treated effluent into the lagoon. So that's where a lot of load has come from. And I'm like, well, that just seems really backwards to me to even have ever allowed that in the first place to a non-climate where there's no natural flush whatsoever.
Right.
And it's been on down here for 40 years. I think that is really part of our problem, is getting rid of what they call the legacy load in the lagoon. And I think if we can get rid of that, which is what they're working on now, they call it demucking. I think that'll help out long term and stop future pollution. But I think before you can do any kind of restoration, you got to stop the problem, which is the algae blooms, which is either nutrients, and get rid of all the nutrient load that's been dumped in the lagoon for the last, 40, 50 years. So, and some of these municipalities still have these permits, and it still goes on today. So,
nuts, man.
It is.
The good old boy in the state house.
Yeah, good old boy. It is. That's what it comes down to. It was the good old boy network, and it's got to stop at this point, So,
well, like you said, the lagoon doesn't have a way to, like, the tide doesn't carry everything out. The ocean's not filtering it. What's filtering it is the seagrass, and what's getting filled is the seagrass. So it's like you said, it's a big compounding problem.
Yeah, it is. And now we have this. It's a rooted algae that grows here now, caulerpa, which when the seagrass tries to go back, it starts to smother it out. And that is, again, that's a nutrient-based algae that grows on the bottom. It is rooted, and it is toxic, so the manatees can't eat it, but fish do live in it. It only grows to 3 to 4 inches tall. It doesn't grow like seagrass did, but it at least provides some sort of habitat for smaller fish to live in and possibly survive, but it's not the habitat that seagrass has, and it kind of helps stops the seagrass from growing back. And this is the first year I've actually seen seagrass start to grow through the caulerpa algae really fast and get up. And I've seen some seagrass growth this year, and I'm hoping we can eliminate an algae bloom from happening this fall when we start to get tropical moisture.
And what about those pesky manatees? Do they eat a lot of the grass too?
They eat a lot of the grass. We had a huge manatee die off this year because of the lack of seagrass. They do, but I mean, that's just, a minor part of the problem, but they do eat a lot of seagrass.
What do they do with all the dead manatees? Take them like the cat food factory or something?
I don't know what they did. We had something like, I don't remember what the exact number was, but it was well over 150 die here in our county alone since January 1st. And they did a couple autopsies, and they were dying of starvation because there is no food.
That sucks.
It does.
I talk shit about the manatee, but they're not too bad.
They're not. No, they're pretty cool to look at. A lot of my customers love them, but they're all right. It's like a big sea dog, man.
Somebody
That's what
told me they weren't
like
native to
canine. So
the Central Florida canine. Is that what you said?
yeah, they're like the canine of the sea. Yeah, they remind me of sea dogs. I don't know why. They like boats. They like people. They seem very social. And they're always just meandering around like a good old low country dog sitting on the porch, kind of hanging out.
Yeah, sea monsters.
Yeah.
Somebody had told me they weren't local to Florida, that they were brought in from, I don't remember, Indonesia or somewhere. Does that ring a bell?
I've heard that story. I've heard a lot of it, but I do believe they've been indigenous to this area for a very long time. They migrate up and down the Atlantic seaboard and into the certain climate area. But from here, I've heard they migrate all the way down to Central America and just come back and forth. And they've stopped migrating in certain areas like us because we have man-made canals. We have deep water. There's no tide. You don't have to exert extra energy to swim through a tide. Right. We have power to have warm water outflows, and that's really why they would migrate out here, because the water would get too cold for them. So they would just migrate through. And now that we have a large population that have stayed into these places, and now our local power plant are stopping, trying to eliminate those warm water outflows to get the manatee back to its natural routine of migrating through the area instead of taking up permanent residence here.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I believe that they've been doing it their entire life. But who knows? It could have been introduced here years ago. I'm not sure. Yeah. I don't know the exact 100% fact on that one, but I've heard both sides. So.
No, that's interesting. What's your plans the rest of the day? You gonna fish this afternoon?
No, man, I'm gonna tie some flies up, man. Actually, I gotta tie some flies, kind of get caught back up, and that's about it, man. Gonna break out some tarpon streamers, put some Flymen living eyes on them, and get to it, man.
The back end of the guide business.
Yep, just staying. This is my time of year to be busy, man. I'm happy to be busy after last year in the COVID situation. It's great to be back on the water every day.
Yeah, so, what size hooks are you tying for this tarpon?
It depends on the size. I tie anywhere from a number 4 up to a 2.0, depending on the size we're throwing and the pattern, of course. So I tie, a lot of 1.0s, general purpose tarpon fly, depending on what we're going to run into, or a lot of size 1s as well, depending on what model hook. So
yeah, I'm gonna get it back at the vise too and tie up some juvie flies from tarpon.
Yeah,
soon. I'll talk to the boss I got and do that, man.
Yeah, man, and it's good this year. There's a lot of fish this year, man. There's a lot of fish down here. So if you get a chance to come down, man. Tie some gurglers, tie some black and purple, some chartreuse streamers.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
You know what they like to eat.
Yeah, so. Figure it out. Same thing. If you get wild here and come up here, redfish will be good through Christmas. So
yeah, man,
that'll be good all year, but through Christmas we catch.
I keep talking. Maybe me coming up to see him and then sliding over to see you and Martin and the guys over there. I'd like to come see the new place up there. I haven't even seen it, man. I can't wait to get up there.
Yeah, it's sweet, man. It's
yeah. Look, are you? Is that where you're at now?
Yeah, this is kind of the bar area. I'm sitting here right by the bar.
Nice.
Yeah. This is
backdrop, man. Wood's gorgeous.
Yeah,
I love it.
Old pallet wood.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was out of the old shop. I was like, that ain't going anywhere. I'm taking that thing with me.
Awesome.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. Well, good talking to you, man. We appreciate it.
No, my pleasure. Anytime you need it, man. I love you guys, man. You guys love the product, and I love what you guys do. And I love that. And if you, Martin, and Mike get down here sometime, we could have a good old time.
That'd be intense.
Yeah, it would be a lot of fun, man.
Oh,
so I gotta ease off the bourbon when those boys are around. I drink so much bourbon. They're like, let's get up and go fishing. They're used to it. I'm not. I'm like, oh, you guys are killing me.
The trick is you just got to start doing liver stretches like 2 to 3 days before, frying
Right.
it so it's not a shock to you.
Yeah.
So,
No doubt. It's good having you guys, man. And I can do for you guys and Flymen. I'm all about it, man. I've been using your stuff for years and I love it. So
awesome. Well, we'll keep in touch and come fish with us.
Yeah, I will. You too, Scotty. I'm trying to get up there and hopefully I get to fish with Mike in August, man. I've last year's the first year I haven't gone in a few years. I love to get back up there and do some fishing with Mike up there, throwing some double barrels at those smallmouth.
Smallmouth.
Yeah.
Martin went a couple weeks ago. We came out with a slider and he went and they crushed him on the slider.
Really? You guys got a slide?
Yeah, it's basically the same fly, just turn the head around backwards. But it'll that shape of it, it'll get under the surface, kind of like a submarine, but they'll crush that thing. But yeah, stop here and have you ever fished for the redfish in the grass like we do in Charleston? Like when it floods?
A couple times up towards Fernandina area, but I've never. When we were up there and I fished with Bruner, it was we didn't have a good flood tide. It was average tides. We caught some really nice fish. We put us on some good fish, man. It was a lot of fun, but we didn't get to do any of the flood tide stuff. So I've never really got to truly experience a great low country flood tide yet.
It's a pretty unique thing, that only to this area. We ran into Flip Hallett was fishing with Newman Weaver up in Georgetown a couple years ago. And we saw him at the boat ramp. We're like, hey, did you have a good time? He's like, man, I'm 60 something years old and I've never fished redfish like this. Never. It's just so unique because our tides are so big. Savannah is the same, but yeah, totally. I'd love to take you.
Yeah, I would love to get up there and do that, man. So if you see a good flood tide coming up in the fall and then I can slide out here, I normally have some time off when we get into fall, just 'cause it slows down a little bit. I will hop in the car and slide up there for sure. Tow the boat behind me.
Yeah, I'll send you an email later with all the good ones for the rest of the year, so you can just plan it off of that.
Hell yeah, I would love to, man. Come up there. And, what do you guys feed them when they get in the grass like that? Little crab patterns, little shrimp patterns?
Yeah, I throw that drum beater a good bit.
Yeah.
Any crab pattern with like marabou or rabbit, something that you can let it sit still, but it'll still undulate and move.
Right.
That'll just crush them. Just crush them.
They don't use lead. Is there bead chain, or you use some lead to get it down there quicker?
I'll use them a smaller of a medium-sized lead to get it down. So you just feed them a little bit, but they're so preoccupied with their face buried in the mud, in that thick grass. They can't see it until they get right on top of it. So it's pretty damn violent.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got it. And it looks like so much fun, man.
Do it.
It's like so much fun.
Bring it on.
I'm down, buddy. I'm down.
Cool.
Same goes. Got an open invite here anytime, man. Come on.
We'll do it.
Cool, Scotty.
Right.
I said, if you talk to Mike, give him a shout. I got to give him a call here in a few days and see what's going on for August. So
cool. Keep
all right, buddy. Yeah, man.
All right. Thanks, dude. Good to see you.
You too, buddy.